Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run through the latest weather warnings, as we do have some thunderstorm warnings issued over the next 24 hours in places, as we are going to continue to see some pop-up convection. As we head into Wednesday though, we are going to see a more widespread risk of heavy showers, thunderstorms, and maybe even some persistent rain. Now I say only maybe because we still have massive uncertainty about how far inland this trough, this area of low pressure that is coming up from Northern Europe, how far inland it will come. Now, the latest UKV actually keeps the majority of the heavy rain offshore, with only showers and storms on land, whereas the Run has plenty of storms and showers, but also brings the very heavy, persistent rain band inland. Now have a look at those two models. They are the main models we normally look at, and today at only 36 to 48 hour time frame they disagree substantially, which is not good, as unfortunately I won't be able to give you a concrete answer of what we could be seeing as we head into Wednesday. Hopefully by tomorrow though they do agree. I'm sure they will, or some model is going to have quite a big flop. As we head into the latter part of the week, it will turn drier and it will continue to be fairly warm, and as we see in the longer range, there are positive signs today that we could see some even stronger higher pressure building in for the final couple of days of May into early June. Definitely has increased in the number of runs on both the operational runs and the ensembles that go for higher pressure, with warm, well above average air masses pushing in, and even some air masses from some ensemble members that could border on a heatwave type pattern. So I have to keep a very close eye on that in the longer range. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see there are thunderstorms breaking out across parts of the Republic of Ireland into Northern Ireland at the moment, and we have got a warning in force there. Elsewhere it's pretty dry and it's been very warm today, temperatures into the low 20s widely once again. Now there's a few showers in the east drifting in off the North Sea, and these could come a little bit more heavy and widespread overnight tonight, as we'll see from the UKV in a minute. It does sort of pop these up a little bit, pep them up into some beefier showers around midnight, so we'll have to see how that does play out, but for the time being they're just some lighter showers drifting in off the North Sea. But it will all change and we see the instability further southwards slowly moving in over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now this evening around 7:30 it's still fairly warm, cooler along the east coast of course. We've got slightly chillier breeze coming in off the North Sea, but most areas the further westwards you go are very warm. Temperatures, as I said, still around the high teens at 7:30 in the evening. Now if you look at the latest weather warnings, we have got a thunderstorm warning issued for western parts of Northern Ireland. It's expire in around an hour's time, so I won't have a look at it in detail, but again it's for those thunderstorms. As we head into Tuesday, we see two thunderstorm warnings issued now, one for Northern Ireland from 8 AM until 9 PM. Again, while some places will miss them, heavy rain and thunderstorms are likely again on Tuesday, potentially bringing disruption and flooding. We could be seeing 20 to 30 millimetres an hour or two, maybe as much as 50 or 60 millimetres in a few areas. And then a warning issued for the southwest of England from midday until 9 PM. Again, very similar description. Again, could see 20 to 30 millimetres an hour, or maybe 40 to 50 millimetres in a few hours. Now, thunderstorms won't only be in these warning zones, they will be fairly widespread. It's just here we're expecting the highest risk and the most beefy storms at the moment. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see over the course of this evening, nothing too much is going on. And then as we head overnight tonight, could see a few showers drifting in off the east coast, but nothing too crazy into the morning. Still could see quite a few showers around through the afternoon tomorrow. Again, those sort of warning zones across Northern Ireland and towards southwest England, but could even see southeast England up towards Scotland, and perhaps a bit more persistent rain drifting in off the North Sea. Now, as we head in through the evening, we still see that shower activity doesn't really die out all too much with that trough further northwards. Then as we head into Wednesday, we see some pretty widespread heavy thundery showers, but look at all that heavy rain out into the North Sea, not drifting particularly far inland at all, really making no effort to come inland, and instead it'd be 20 degrees, sunshine and showers. Just take note of that, because we'll look at the Rome run in a minute, and it is vastly different. As we head through into Thursday, still a few showers around, but as we head into the latter part of the week, still looking pretty pleasant, fairly dry, and most likely fairly warm. Can see this afternoon temperatures into the low 20s, especially in the south. And as we head into tomorrow, we could see similar conditions where we see sunshine again, sort of 20, 21 degrees, or where it's slightly cooler with some cloud around and a few showers, maybe only mid-teens as we've got some slightly fresher air moving in. As we head into Wednesday, again, look at that, temperatures up into the 20 to 22 degree mark. That is not what we'll be seeing from the Rome run, but looking pretty decent on the latest UKV. And then as we head into Thursday, again, warmer conditions further southwards, cooler further northwards with some cloud and rain. And then into Friday, turning better. But of course, with that fresher air mass, because the low pressure's moved through, it won't feel as warm. But as we saw a minute ago, it is looking fairly dry, so not too bad. But if we go over to the Rome run now and see what that is showing over the course of the next couple of days, you can see the thunderstorms continuing in places through this evening, but slowly drifting away and becoming less intense. As we head into tomorrow morning, we still see some heavy showers and maybe some more thunderstorms around in places could be pretty hefty, especially across the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, North England, and Southwest England. We see more persistent rain moving in from the east. And then as we head into Wednesday, that rain becomes really heavy and really widespread all the way into Wednesday morning. And that area of rain the UKV had far out to the North Sea comes pretty far inland here, and we could be seeing some substantial rainfall in places across the Midlands, into North England, generally eastern England as well. Now, unfortunately, it only goes out to 6 a.m. here on Wednesday, but this would set up a very cool, wet day. Complete contrast to what the UKV was showing, which was just sunshine and showers, which is pretty bizarre indeed, I must say. And if you look at the accumulated precipitation, you can see initially as thunderstorms giving locally heavy amounts, and then as that persistent rain moves in, widely in that area that sees that heavy rain, you can see half an inch to an inch of rain, maybe even more. And again, this is only 6 a.m. on Wednesday, let alone the rest of the day, with that rain continuing to spiral in. So it'll be very interesting indeed to see exactly how this does play out, but it could be very lively indeed through Wednesday, or it might not be at all. It all will be dependent on how this trough interacts over the next day or so, and if it does move further inland. Now, if you have a look at the longer range, it is looking positive. Regardless of what happens over the next few days, the longer range is looking positive. We see that low pressure moving in from the southeast, that little trough, and then eventually high pressure builds in later this week. Now, it's not a rock solid area of high pressure. We will see low pressure intrusions, but generally, as we head in towards day 10 and beyond, high pressure becomes more and more established. And as it builds further eastwards, it tries to draw up some very warm air from the south and southeast. And look at the temperature deviation here. We're looking a good 6 to maybe 8 degrees, or even maybe glimpses of 10 degrees above average as we head towards early June. Now, this would probably equate to temperatures in the mid to maybe high 20s if we did see it persistently, and maybe even a very low chance of getting towards 30 degrees, which would be starting to get above those heatwave thresholds pretty widely. So very interesting indeed from the latest GFS. We have seen it flirted with from some runs, but we're seeing a little bit more persistent from runs today. Now, if you check out the latest GM, again, low pressure in the southeast at the moment. Eventually, we do see another low move through for early next week, but similar to the GFS, we see a big area of high pressure building in the longer term. Initially, a fairly warm air mass, nothing too ridiculous, but similar around the maybe 4 to 6 degrees above average here, so pretty warm and very dry indeed. We're unlikely to see any precipitation under this high pressure, really, with it all mainly out of the Atlantic or to our east. If you compare to the latest ECMWF, again, very similar, low pressure around over the next day or two, high pressure starting to build in, and all the way to day 10, we do see this big area of high pressure developing towards Scandinavia and drawing up a south to southeasterly wind, very big block of warm air. The only caveat is there's a small trough towards northern France, so it could mean there could be some thunderstorms around, but it would generally be pretty warm and dry. Now, after you finish by looking at the latest ensembles, you can see generally hovering around average or slightly above over the next week or so, and then more of a trend above average in the longer range. There are still some cooler runs and some average runs bringing it down, but definitely a little bit of an increase by a degree or two in those longer range ensembles, with quite a few more going around that 10 to 15 degree range, which would start to push towards heatwave thresholds. Not bone dry in the longer term from the precipitation spikes here, but definitely reducing compared to what we've had recently. So again, that's another positive signal. If we do finish by looking at the latest ECMWF ensembles, very similar, generally hovering around average, slightly above, slightly below for the next week. Precipitation reducing into the final days of May and early June, and the upper air temperatures rising as well. Quite a few more runs getting towards that 10-degree isotherm. Maybe not as many as the GFS proportionally, but still looking like it's going to go on an upwards trend. No guarantees of a heat wave or anything like that again. We'd be looking at getting close towards the 15-degree barrier for a heat wave, but definitely looking pretty decent and pretty positive as we head into early June for the time being. But we'll have to wait and see what happens over the next few days, and then we can concentrate more on that longer term, as we could see some quite dangerous conditions in places with some heavy rain, some thunderstorms, maybe even some flooding, but still all up in the air for some areas, especially in the east through Wednesday. Will it be just some showers and some storms with outbreaks of sun in between, or is it going to be consistent heavy rain coming in off the east coast? We will just have to wait and see. Hopefully we have a concrete answer tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.